talk to us on John Lewis Day. What I want to say, what I've noticed and I admire most about her is her continued fight, no matter what. So I've been looking at some things she's done, and it's not just about hearsay or she's just saying things, but she's continually fought for her community, for people she cares about, and community, something that we all care about.
It's very simple. A change is necessary. Our community need to change. We have people walking around fearful, and in the word of John Lewis, it's a time of action. There's no such thing as trouble, just good trouble. At this point, we need to make a difference. We need to make a stance. It's not about your personal understanding. It's about making something change in your community. So we're calling every single person on this day to come out and make a difference. As you see the peoples over there that will need to know a little bit more information, the one that are with us, we want to let you understand the way things are right now don't have to remain so. You can make a change. You can take action. You can be the transformation value in your community. Thank you. Have a blessed one.
So I just want to say thank you. No one else says thank you for your fight, your continued fight, and for being true to what you say, to the words that you say, and speaking truth to power and to situations that are going on in our community and in our lovely little states that needs a lot of help and a lot of prayer and a lot of healing and a lot of oil and water and everything else. So that's my little, in a nutshell, about who you are. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate it. So I'm going to turn it over to Representative Dotie Joseph. All right. Thank you.
Oh, you do? Sure. Let me tell you what it goes. So, for those who don't know me, as you heard, I am Dotie Joseph. Oh, yes ma'am, Dotie Joseph. Thank you. And I have the honor and privilege of representing Florida House District 108. Up until redistricting, this was actually in my district.
Oh, wow.
And then they took it out. And that's the same redistricting period that they redistricted out actually two of our black seats in the state of Florida. And unfortunately, on the appeal, they continued to litigate one seat up north. And just I think it was today or yesterday, the Supreme Court upheld that redistricting. So we've officially lost that black seat, saying that it would be illegal racial discrimination or something. I don't even remember right now, but it's a hot mess. And a lot of things we're going through right now are a hot mess. So I guess let me back up, because I just kind of jump into things. I am Dotie Joseph, so let me do a proper introduction. I was born in Haiti and raised all throughout this community. I actually went to Charles Drew Elementary, not too far from here, Lakeview for a bit, Miami, Norland, and I graduated from Design and Architecture Senior High, also not too far from here. So my background is in fine arts and fashion, if you couldn't tell. So Yale undergrad, Georgetown law. While I was in law school, college, so at Yale, Yale Black Political Forum, Yale NAACP, all of that kind of stuff. Took a year off. In between that year off, and during high school, while I was at Dash, I interned at the Miami Public Defender's Office. And at that time, I had decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. And the reason I did that was because this was back in the days of the crack cocaine epidemic. And the response was very different than what we see now with the opioid epidemic. And we know why, right? And they've told us. So I wrote off being a lawyer, graduated, and during that time off, so during college, I did some of the things I mentioned. I took a year off, and during that time off, I interned with former President Jimmy Carter at the Carter Center in Atlanta. So this is after he was president, because I'm not that old, but before him leaving us recently. And I will tell you, working with him, he restored my faith in what a public servant could be. Because during college, I had also interned for a congressperson, first in the district office, and that was great because I could focus on helping constituents and serving their needs and helping people fix problems. That's what I enjoy the most. And then they invited me to be on Capitol Hill, and while I was there, I got a front row seat about how our democracy didn't actually function. And can I tell you, it was a hot mess. So I wrote off being a politician or anything related to politics. So I got a chance to intern in the Capitol, and I was just kind of honestly just disappointed by what I saw. Like, certain lobbyists were running things, it was special interests, people didn't read what was in their bills, and I was just like, yeah, I'm good. I don't want any part of this. So I also had the opportunity to intern, as I mentioned, for former President Jimmy Carter, and him and his wife like restored my faith in what a public servant could be. It's somebody who is out there doing the work for the people, not for self-aggrandizement, not to, not for a photo op, but actually out there. And he doesn't, what was most striking to me is that when he went to these places literally around the world, whether helping people with water in Africa or helping build homes here, what struck me was that he didn't go in with some kind of white savior complex, like you need me to fix everything. No, he pitched in with what was already happening on the ground, helped supplement and uplift that, and really get to the heart of the matter. So that was something that I really appreciated about him. Anyhow, in law school, I went to Georgetown University Law Center, and I would do civil rights and human rights. So civil rights, I worked with the National Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under the Law, focusing on voting rights. I would even help with stuff down here in Florida. I interned with the U.S. Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, making sure that people who spoke English as a second language had access to all the services to which they're entitled. And in the summers, I would work with refugees abroad. So I worked as a legal intern for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Cairo, Egypt, where I worked with refugees from Sudan. And I also worked with refugees in Uganda with the Refugee Law Project. And those refugees were mostly from the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as a few from Somalia. And we're starting to hear a little bit more about them in the news now, but not much. Anyway, graduated, clerked for a federal judge, litigated employment discrimination class actions all around the United States, some of which went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and I unapologetically kicked butt. I came back home to serve and became the first Black attorney to work at the City of North Miami Beach, assistant, deputy, and interim city attorney, partner at a law firm, and then I got sucked into running for office. So we're gonna skip all of that because right now I wanna focus on a gentleman that I learned about first in high school, John Lewis. And I think it's hard for young people these days to understand the sacrifices that people made in the civil rights movement. You kind of hear about it, but it doesn't really process, right? When we hear about things like the Montgomery bus boycott, it seems like something just happened, because we talk about boycotts here, it might be a 24-hour boycott. That's not a boycott. So, this is a sustained effort over maybe 2 years of people organizing and sacrificing and refusing to take public transportation, and the community finding ways to support as they're continuing with that action. So people who volunteer to drive people, taxi drivers, people pitching in to raise funds to make sure that those taxi drivers receive some money for gas and what have you, people who were cooking to help support the movement. There are lots of pieces that went into it. The legal community had its part, trying to prepare test cases to figure out what to litigate. So everybody had a role to play, just like we do today, right? And I don't think we always think about it as a collective, but we are our community. There is no cavalry coming. We're all we've got, right? And everybody has their role to play. And as we're thinking about this, John Lewis served in a lot of youth movements coming up, right? And, you know, whether you're talking about the Rainbow Coalition or the Freedom Rides, you know, people may or may not know about the Freedom Rides, but this is back in the days where black people and white people weren't allowed to ride public transportation together, right? This is before we had legislation barring that. And to force the issue, this group of students who were integrated would get in buses and ride throughout the South, integrated. Like that was their big thing, right? And it doesn't seem like a big thing today because I feel like we take it for granted, but that was a big deal back in the day. So much so they would be hunted down by people in their areas. They would throw Molotov cocktails at them. And I'll never forget the story of 3 young men who were part of the same action that John Lewis was a part of, but their bus situation ended up differently. And there were 3 men. It was John Goodman, Shormer, and Cheney. But what were their first names? Andy. And anyway, so this is back in the days where you had a coalition of black and white people, and specifically in this case, Jewish people who cared about civil rights, right? So we have Jewish people who care about civil rights and Jewish people who don't. In this instance, these were people who cared and were willing to invest in it and to get in there and literally had to lay their lives on the line. It wasn't voluntary that they laid their lives on the line. They got attacked and they were killed, right? Just for riding on a bus. So 1 black man and 2 white men killed for riding on a bus. And John Lewis was among that cohort of young advocates who were unafraid to speak truth to power. And with any movement that we've seen in this country and most of the places throughout the world, it's led by the youth, right? Sure, some older folks have a role to play in counseling and guiding, but the energy of the movement is usually by the youth. Why? Because they have not fully been indoctrinated into this is just how it is. Because we know that this is not how it needs to be, right? So as you are figuring all of that out, and you're figuring out what is your role to play in this moment in history, and make no mistake, we are at a particularly important point in this country and the world's history about which direction that we're going to go. We stand on the precipice of maintaining or reviving / reimagining this American democratic project, which at its core is based on the genocide of Native American people and centuries-long human trafficking and enslavement of black people, right? And I was listening to this young lady, a Native American young woman, talking about how if the US can exist and we still have the freedom that we're fighting for. And her response was, it can't exist in its current form, but it can exist in a new way in which everybody has a proper relationship with nature, so that we're on a path that keeps it so that's sustainable for both human beings and our environment, as opposed to the doomsday path that we're currently on, where it's about sucking up as much from the environment, regardless of the long-term consequences, accelerating our own demise, and the exploitation of human resources, all for profit of a few. So those are the 2 options before us, right? So we can reimagine a future of the United States and a future of the world where people and the planet coexist in peace, or we can continue on this path of militaristic violence fueled by the prison and military industrial complex that is all focused on maintaining power and control for the benefit of a few. Those are our options. That's literally it. And our window is closing with the rise of this super surveillance state that is starting to take place, that has taken place in lots of parts of the world, but is really starting to take hold here. We have some tech CEOs who were sworn in as colonels in the US military. We have a whole host of things that I don't need to get into all of that. But, you know, she gave the introduction saying that I'm a consistent fighter. And I'll just say that, you know, I'm not new to the game. I'm true to the game, right? I've been around and I'm going to continue to be around, whether it's litigating with the NAACP or fighting to ensure that people get due process here in the state of Florida at this Everglades internment camp that they're holding people without due process, and a whole host of things that are just going wrong in this country. But this is something that we have to do together. And whether you're an artist and your role in this reformation is to help paint the picture and let people see the vision, or if you are a nurturer and encouraging people who are doing the work, or people who have a different kind of active role as the lawyers in the community, or the activists and the boots in the ground on the community, or the people who are uplifting the stories and telling the stories. Everybody has a role to play. And I just encourage you to think about, what is it that you bring to the table? What is your specific gift, talent, and ability that if you bring it forth now, the world will be a better place, as opposed to if you just kept it to yourself out of fear, out of shame, out of I'm not good enough. And if you're concerned that you're not good enough, I want to be the one to tell you that you are. You were born with everything that you need to survive and thrive in this timeline that we all happen to find ourselves on. It's not by mistake. It's not by accident. We are here for a reason and for a purpose. Just as John Lewis, you know, put his life on the line on the bridge to Selma, right? And you had Bloody Sunday. There are times where you just have to step up and not be afraid, because I need us to fully understand and take stock that there are more people who believe in freedom, equality, justice, love, and light than believe in the opposite. They want us to think that people are focused on hating each other. Sure, with propaganda, you can get people all riled up. But at the end of the day, when you dig down deeper, a lot of these things are backfiring on them. They're attacks on immigrants. People are starting to see that, no, you know, these people not only play a role in our society, not just in terms of their value, right? A lot of times we reduce people to their work and their labor, but they're human beings, and they're more than just their work or their labor. They are an integral part of our community, and they are no different than any one of us. The only difference is somebody happened to be born in a different fake geographical boundary that some colonizers drew up sitting around a table back in the day. That's literally the only difference. And the more we understand that, and that our collective well-being relies on each other as opposed to fighting against one another, the sooner we're able to realize and actualize that, the better we all will be. Because we don't have to live the way that we're living. This is just what we have right now. We can collectively change it. A different world is possible. I mean, I need you to think about it. Everything that we need to live and survive as human beings, air, food, water, and I say food like planting it, taking care of livestock, whatever it is, if you take care of it, it will replenish itself. Not the seedless stuff that they want you hooked on so they can continue to profit, but the other stuff. Everything that we need to survive as human beings is free. Somebody came along and convinced us we needed to pay for it. And that's where we are right now. And it's absolutely absurd. But we can do something about it. So focusing on some of the challenges we have right here in this country, you know, we can take a lot of lessons from what John Lewis and his counterparts had, you know, fought for. So because of his activism and various organizations whether, I can't remember all of them right now, but the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which is short name is SNCC, the Rainbow Coalition, and a whole host of others. And he wasn't the only one, right? You got your Fred Hamptons, you got your Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seals, you have a whole host of youth. Jesse Jackson was among that cohort, right? You know, we don't think of him as youth now, but he was among that cohort of people who are insisting on taking direct action for the things that we care about. And he drew inspiration from some of, you know, his leaders, whether you're talking about a Rosa Parks, a Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, etc. We are creating whatever we want in this moment. And you don't need to be a young person. You could be at whatever age you are. That movement would not have made it through but for people willing to take nonviolent action, and some people willing to be subjected to and or take violent action, right? Power concedes nothing without a demand. So we need to demand and we need to act, right? And what that action is depends on a whole host of different things, but it depends on what it is that you have to bear and how you're organizing in your community, right? So from that, he became one of the youngest legislators we have at the federal level. In addition to that, he was able to help usher in, and his cohort, all kinds of litigation as well as legislation that made it so that we can experience a more equal society than we have before. Now, with everything that we're seeing under these new administrations, that is a challenge, right? Because we are seeing a rollback of a lot of the hard-fought victories of the civil rights movement in terms of attacks on birthright citizenship, in terms of anti-discrimination protections. We are literally just seeing the reversal of a lot of these things. So this is our time to figure out how we're going to re-engage and recommit to not just hold on to what we already had, but fight to keep it back, because the pendulum always swings. Right now, the pendulum is swinging a particular way to the right. And we need to right that pendulum back to a place where it contemplates actual freedom and justice for all. So that's my remarks. I don't know if we're gonna do questions, because I had a whole lot more things I could say and I figured I'd just stop talking.
State legislature, because Republicans don't have a majority, they have a supermajority.
All right.
Must be discouraging.
So I don't know if people heard the question. I'll just restate it. Do I ever lose heart as being a Democrat in a supermajority legislature? And I will just say that as a Black immigrant woman, I don't have the luxury of losing heart. The option of losing heart is what? To give up? Like, that's not, in case I skipped over that part, but I was born in Haiti. So giving up is not in my blood or birthright. That's not something I even know how to do. As a litigator, I fight. And, you know, there's man's law and there's moral authority. And when you're operating in moral authority, it doesn't matter what man's law says. All of the atrocities that have been committed against people around the world were legal according to man's law. Slavery was legal, genocide is legal, discrimination is legal. All of these things are legal under man's law. Are they right? Absolutely not. Is it my duty to fight tooth and nail with every fiber of my being to support people who are also in that battle of resistance? You know, I think sometimes people get lost in these ideas that happen in movies where things are easy and you fight and it just happens. It doesn't work that way. I'll give you two examples. I'll give you the passage of the 19th Amendment here in this country, and then I'll give you the Haitian Revolution. So for those who don't know, women didn't always have the right to vote in this country, right? And for a time, it looked like they were not going to have it. When the vote was coming up, the one person who, it passed by one vote. I don't know if you knew that. The 19th Amendment passed by a single vote. And the person who changed their vote to a yes was a young man who got a letter from his mother thanking him to vote in favor of the amendment. Now, was everything decided in that moment? Absolutely not. There was years of organizing and fighting, and the same way you had Bloody Sunday, you had women attacked when they were looking for their right to vote, right? And they were attacked by dogs, they had husbands telling them this. You know, it wasn't until the 1990s that a woman can divorce her husband without any reason. It wasn't until the 1990s that we could have our own bank accounts. I mean, like, I need y'all to let this sink in. The Salem witch trials were about women who had property that people wanted to take their property. So they labeled them a witch so that they can take them, because the only way a woman could inherit property at the time was through the death of a male relative. So these people who wanted these women's land labeled them a witch so they can take their property. I just need y'all to understand all of this stuff, right? So there was a lot of work that went into getting to that point. If none of that work had happened, they would have never gotten to the point. They needed to get to the point of a vote, right? So that is an example of a story where the chips are way stacked against you, right? Now, a global story of chips being stacked against you. Imagine that you're in the transatlantic slave trade period where these powers, these world powers, are actively trading in African human beings, right? And you, as an African person, know that you're just as much a human as anybody else, because that's unquestionable. And not only are you just as much a human, most of these people weren't civilized, and they learned their civilized practices from education, sanitation, etc., from African people. Like, you know this, and you know how to fight, but they're trying to tell you that you're less than because they want to sell you and profit off your labor and do all these dehumanizing things. So in order for them to do that, they can't treat you as an equal, right? But you know that you're more than equal. You're intelligent, you're all these things. So what you have in Haiti is this interesting situation where you have Africans brought from all parts of Africa, but mostly from West Africa, a few from, you know, the Angolan region and a little bit from East Africa, but most of them coming there. And for those who don't know, Haiti was seen as the breaking ground before taking Africans to other parts of the Caribbean and the Americas, right? So it was the harshest of the harsh treatment when you got there. And the turnover rate in terms of lifespan of people was just ridiculous. Anyway, so here you are, kidnapped from your home country, and you are brought to this place not knowing if you'll ever see anybody or anything that you cared about again, right? But you're hearing, because you understand and you're literate, this French Revolution talking about liberté, égalité, and, you know, equality of man, and no kings, right? No kings is really thing now, and Bastille Day was just earlier this week. But no kings, that's what they were claiming in France at the time. In the United States, you're claiming liberty and the Declaration of Man and the, you know, all these things, and you're hearing these principles that are still inspiring to this day. And you're like, yes, that's us too. So you get up, you come as a community of, you know, newly arrived African slaves, African enslaved human individuals, to mixed individuals who, you know, have that heritage. Some of the local native population, some of which still survived in Haiti, the Taino, Arawak people, getting together to overthrow their oppressor. The same way the French overthrew their oppressor, the same way the United States overthrew their oppressor. and so forth. You can think of lots of examples throughout history, but for some reason, in the white supremacist dialectic that we are educated within, we're taught to believe that Black and brown people cannot have these kinds of liberation movements, and that somehow they're to be frowned upon, right? That's what the takeaway was for the United States legislators at the time, which is part of the reason why we have the Second Amendment and a whole bunch of other things that you may not know about US history. But the point is, I don't have the luxury to be disappointed. You know, a people without vision or hope perish, and perishing is not an option. We will survive, and you know, we were the first and we will be the last. There was somebody else who had a question. No, it wasn't you, sorry. I'm gonna get to you, but there was another young lady who had a question.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deja Bess. I am the Wellness Chair for Florida Rising, Miami-Dade region, and also the Communications Director at New Generation. So today we're here at the Roots bookstore. Today is John Lewis Day. We are celebrating a revolutionary African-American man who has trailblazed the walks, the protests, the advocacy for voting rights for all citizens, right? We know that right now it is a very tough time for immigrants, even minorities, you know, especially in the U.S., whereas this used to be a place for all refugees. And now it seems to be, we seem to be at a tough time. So this day has been very refreshing for me personally to be able to celebrate a person who is African American, who is actually for the progression of us, right? So today we're here, we're at the Roots bookstore, as I said. This is an organization called BLAM, I believe, right? It's Black Legislative Activism Movement, don't quote me. But BLAM, they were the ones who invited us out. And we're just pretty much here to celebrate a day, pretty much just giving, you know, recognition, standing together. I love to see, you know, all of my people out here pretty much just standing for something that's good. So we want to make sure that we're advocating our people on their rights, giving them something to stand for, giving them a safe place to be, even when everything around them is not necessarily supporting them. So I would just ask you all to make sure that you're educating yourselves, educate your neighbors, and just do your best. Do your best to stay safe. Do your best to praise when you wake up in the morning. Always look to see, you know, what it is that's coming up next. So just be thankful. That's all. I would say just be thankful, educate yourselves, and live it up.
Okay, and so how can they reach out to your organization on social media or website?
Absolutely. So FloridaRising.org or NGPS.org. New Generation, we actually have a private school that's NGPS.org. The New Generation VII.org is our general website. That is where you can find all of the things that we do. We have 7 departments, ranging from education all the way to politics. We have education, we have ministry, we have outreach, we have entertainment, health, business, and politics. So we're doing a lot within the community. We really want to focus on, of course, you know, minorities, but we are multicultural, you know, and just pretty much trying to educate people, trying to make sure that we galvanize that we are a force to be reckoned with. So find us.
So hello, my name is Kendra Howard,
James Howard.
and we're the co-founders of the Black Liberation Alliance movement. And we're also the sponsors of today's John Lewis Day of Service and Rally here in Miami, Florida, in the heart of Liberty City. So today is about a day of serving our community, recognizing the legacy of the great Congressman John Lewis, and teaching and educating our community about getting into good trouble and their civic engagement. This year, this is our second year as the Black Liberation Alliance movement participating with the John Lewis Day of Service and Action. And so this year we wanted to do something a little different, not just a rally, but we wanted to do service, to give back to our community. As we know, many people in our community this year are really struggling. They're hurting. So in the heart of Liberty City, which has a lot of history from the 60s and the 70s in spaces of movement and community organization and with the civil rights movement. We wanted to do it here today to bring awareness and to remind people of what it means to be a good citizen, what it means to get into good trouble, and what it means to be civically engaged. So we're here and we're doing a street sweep and a community beautification. So we have a team out right now. They're cleaning the community and they're planting flowers to beautify the community. And about an hour or so, we will start our community feeding, providing hot meals to those in the community that are in need. And then from there, we will go into our rally for John Lewis to bring his legacy of good trouble and civic engagement to our community.
And how about social media or website they can look you up on to get involved or donate or anything?
Okay, so if you want to find us and a little more about what we do as the Black Liberation Alliance, or BLAM, we're on all social media platforms at BLA Movement, and you can follow us. We're always dropping information about our state, about things that's going on nationally. If you want to know about movements and what we do locally and statewide, you can find us there.
Upcoming events, we have on August 7th, we have the Revolutionary Read Club that will be right here at Roots Bookstore and Market from 6 to 8. And, go ahead.
Well, we're going to come together and we're going to read a book and we're going to discuss it. It's going to be a book club that's going to be ongoing, and it's our ode to Black August, to past political prisoners and political organizers who've done things in our community and brought awareness to a lot of things that's going on around our nation and in our community. On August 26th, we're going to be partnering with Florida Rising and the Black Power Rising organization for reclaiming safety. And that is a movie review talking about safety within our communities. There will be a viewing here in Miami-Dade County and a viewing in Broward County at the African American Cultural Museum. So if you follow us, you'll find out about that. So on August the 26th, we are partnering with Florida Rising and Black Power Rising for a movie documentary called Reclaiming Safety. We will have a viewing here in Miami-Dade County and a viewing in Broward County at the African American Cultural Arts Museum. So stay tuned for more of our events. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just gonna be honest with you, because can I be real with y'all? I don't know how to be any other way. So, first of all, I didn't know about this. I just happened to know about this because I ran into them at this other event and they told me about it. I had no idea it was happening. It's arguable that a lot of people have no idea this is happening. So I would discourage you from over extrapolating what it means by the turnout here, because it might be just a marketing issue, right? So that's one. Two, I would say that we need to learn how to be high tech and high touch, right? Yes, it's great that you're texting people, but are you having a conversation? Are you checking on them? How are you doing? Maybe they haven't eaten. Maybe they're struggling with their job. Maybe they're whatever. People have so much going on. And to the extent that any movement lasts, it's through those real deep connections with people, checking in on people as a human being first, as opposed to, I need you to show up at this rally or this whatever, right? So that's a second point. And a third point is that you work with who wants to work. You can't be worried about everybody else. Harriet Tubman helped those who wanted to be helped. Some people couldn't be helped, and they will deal with whatever they deal with, and they'll wake up when they wake up, and they'll be ready if they're ever ready. And they'll deal with their own consequences, right? You're only responsible for you. You can't control anybody else's actions, attitude, or any of that. All you can control is you and how you show up, right? And the same goes for them. I don't waste my time trying to convince people these days. Whether you know you're in a fight or not, you're either fighting or you're getting knocked down, right? So if they want to just stay get knocked down, that's entirely their business and entirely their right, right? And I'm not here to judge anybody for anything, because there are times where I need to recede and then I can get back in the fray. We need to remember not to, in well-meaning in our positive movements, not to replicate the oppressive approaches of the movements that we're fighting against, right? Where you need to be on deck all the time and you don't, rest is resistance sometimes. And then you get back in and you figure out how to get back in. And you may not know, you just reach out to people and see what you can do. It's not about one person. I think another thing is a lot of times people are used to having a leader or, a group of leaders or whatever. We don't need a leader. You're grown. You have a mind. You see what needs to happen in your specific sphere, within your network, within your influence, right? What's in your power, you do. Because if I was focused on what everybody else was doing, I would be beyond overwhelmed. And I don't have time for all that. I do what I can, and folks who want to pitch in. Folks who want to do what they're doing, I encourage and lift up what they're doing, and that's how we support each other in the ecosystem. And actual support, not just like lip service. How are you doing today? What's going on? And what does that look like? I'm not Miss Moneybags. That's not how I show up. But there are some people who have financial resources. What does mutual aid look like? What do bail funds look like? What does a legal defense effort look like? Are we paying for, even if we had attorneys to do pro bono, are we paying for the filing fees? There's lots of ways to pitch in. You just have to figure out what makes sense for you. They may not everybody's role is to show up to a protest. Not everybody's role is to show up at a meeting. And that's okay, right? Wherever people can fit, get in where you fit in. And that's it.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
What's up with all the hurt? Deport yourself first. What's up with all the hurt? Deport yourself first. What's up with all the hurt?
Deport yourself first.
What's up with all the hurt?
Deport yourself first.
What's up with all the hurt?
Deport yourself first.
What's up with all the hurt?
Deport yourself first.
What's up with all the hurt?
Deport yourself first.
What's up with all the hurt?
Deport yourself first.
What's up with all the hurt?
Deport yourself first.
Come on, let's go.
Because united we stand. Good trouble lives on. If we work together, we can take our country back. That's why I am here. God says love your neighbor. He didn't say love your Haitian neighbor, your Hispanic neighbor. He says love your neighbor. That's everybody.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
period.
This is why we want our country back. 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 This is why. Nice job. That's how you do this.
Thank you for being our cheerleader.
Awesome job. Yes, she is.
Still doing the weather?
Yeah.
We in good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice denied.
We in good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice denied.
We in good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice denied.
We in good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice denied.
We in good trouble.
And that's our pride. Wait, your hair girl. Wait, hold up. So we waiting on these two cutie pies right here. That's what we waiting on. We waiting on y'all two cutie pies. What's happening? Okay. I'm sending them 6 minutes. Oh, 6 minutes. 6 minutes, guys. 6 minutes. 6 minutes. That's a long thing to remember, right? We're gonna need another run through. We got 6 minutes. We're gonna need another run through. As long as we and that's our pride. Okay, all right. Cool. Write it down.
Question. Y'all want the second one yet?
Oh, please, no. One is enough. Some of us are seasoned.
Alright, one more time. Justice delayed.
Justice denied.
You want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice denied.
You want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice
You
denied.
want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice
You
denied.
want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
That's easy. One more.
No, this is what I like. Take our country back.
I got something. 1, 2. Justice delayed.
Justice
You
denied.
want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice
You
denied.
want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice
You
denied.
want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice
You want
denied.
good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice
You
denied.
want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice
You want
denied.
good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Come on, put your hands up.
It's got to be 2 minutes now.
How much longer?
After weather.
We're live, so.
Yeah.
We're live.
Live in the hood. Because we're in the heart of Liberty City.
Okay.
We're in the heart of Liberty City.
I know where we are.
We are in the heart of Liberty City.
You grew up here.
No, I grew up in Miami, so I know where we are.
All the black entertainers that they entertained on this street. James Brown, Jackie Wilson, Rita Franklin, all of them.
15th Avenue.
15th Avenue was the avenue. It was a time when the blacks used to come here to perform. They could not stay. They would go on the beach and they would perform on Miami Beach, Dinah Ross and the Supremes, but they couldn't sleep in those. They couldn't sleep in the Fountain View. They couldn't sleep in the Eagle Rock. So they had to come back over here to 15th Avenue and to Old Town to sleep in the black hotel.
And then, right, there's a movie called A Night in Miami.
Yeah. And the Hampton House, all of them performed there too.
And Lyric Theater.
And Lyric Theater.
Yeah? Yeah. I'll send it to you. Yep, Miami.
You want to call for that doctor? Just tell everybody
Is the camera? Do y'all remember?
No, one more run through. One more. 1, 2, ready, go.
Justice delayed.
And justice denied.
You want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Justice delayed.
Justice
You
denied.
want good trouble.
And that's our pride.
Y'all got it?
Yes. All
Camera
right.
ready?
But you got to face that way when you do it.
I'm actually that good. That's okay.
Chris, you got it.
Ready? Y'all ready?
They're ready.
Are we ready?
I love hearing that.
Are we ready? Are we ready?
Yes.